moving a bit faster than I would have otherwise expected, because personally,
Some ice juice. Just getting stuff set up. I want to get one of the old musics I had on here, but I don't remember what it sounded like. Oh, it's this one. I'm not too sure how I feel about this. I remember I used this in my old videos because it was free for anybody to use, so there was no copyright. It's like Dragon and Toast. I've never understood the title, but I mean it's not a bad song. It just kind of ominously sits in the background. It's for the Dark Arc. There's gonna be like a really scary character coming up soon. It's gonna turn out that I'm like what's like a cool scary monster? Ooh, could I be a headless horseman? I guess it depends on which version. I would hate to be one of those ones that doesn't have a head at all and doesn't have a replacement. I like the ones that have like a pumpkin or like a ghost face. Something. Something that's more interesting than just like some dude with no head. So imagine some dude with no head. Like, if these just have the open neck wound, like, isn't shit gonna get in there? What are the topics today? Primarily, we're gonna talk about Natsu and Gray's rivalry and some of the ways that it connects. Because I think that this bit right now, where we're getting the rivalry bond, like from Sai, that we're gonna get some form of further progression or further relation to their rivalry. Like, we're gonna get some nods from it. I'm still anticipating that Gray is similar to Natsu with handling just straight temperature. That Gray is going to get a part where he's handling straight cold. Where instead of it being like, oh, I'm going to do like a bigger ice attack or like a different style of ice make, or even something more directly with, like, you know, if he does it with his Devil Slaying magic. I think it's going to be more so set with him just focusing on the cold and making his general area more frozen, I guess. Because, like, the thing is, with Genai and Kotetsu, Genai can transmute some of Lucy's attacks, but say if Lucy just went into, like, Capricorn Taurus, and she just gets high physical strength and martial arts skills, she should be able just to box him down without him really being able to do anything besides his general normal alchemy attacks. He's not going to have the whole bit of being able to alter somebody else's attack and use it against them. And then with Gray and Kotetsu, how would he transmute the cold? As far as we know, they need the physical mass in order to transmute it. And with stuff like smoke, I imagine there's some leeway, but I would be really surprised if he could transmute the cold into metal. I feel like that'd be a little too much. Like, maybe for somebody like Duke or Fiernes, but I doubt from Kotetsu, because Kotetsu doesn't seem too impressive. I thought his display this chapter was... It was about where I was already anticipating he'd be at, but I thought he did a little bit better in just how he initially used it, with, like, the whole, like, turning the ice into iron pillars and just kind of using them as projectiles. He had nothing that seemed like, oh man, it's surprising he can do that. Like, that's something I feel like anybody could have guessed he could do. But it's just nice seeing him actually utilizing it and not just, oh yeah, I punched your arm and your arm turned to iron. Because that has to be like, that's like an early series danger. Like, I don't know who's going to not be able to lift up an arm's worth of iron this late in the game. Ray still being Natsu's rival isn't believable. See, what are you talking about, though? Like, how is he not? So I said the rival one works on those with similar power. There's no way Gray is near Natsu in terms of power. So, like, you have to keep multiple things in mind. Base Gray and base Natsu are 100% consistent with each other. Same thing with Gajil. There's certain types of levels, something like Dragon Force is where Natsu gets out of Gray's range. Because there's no way that Natsu with Fire Dragon King mode is just going to run over Gray. Like, that's absolutely not happening, especially like what we've seen from Gray. And on top of that, like, Gray's general feats and performances. Like, the only reason people would say that is because Natsu's had an overall larger performance, but he is the main character, and he's had bigger fights in 100 Years Quest. But Gray's had more, like, we've talked about it a lot. I mean, Gray's been way more focused on his character progression with his stuff with him and Juvia. And when it comes to just, like, fights and stuff, it's just kind of the waiting game of, like, when we're going to get something from him. But, I mean, Gray's always shown relevant to Natsu. The point where it becomes muddied, where he starts to really trail away, is like Gajil and Natsu, from base to their hybrid modes, are equal. Natsu has a little bit of an edge, but clearly they are about relative to each other. Same thing with Gray and Natsu. I think with everything up into Dragon Force is about equal. It's Dragon Force Natsu that, and obviously if there's Dragon Force, we don't really count that. I mean, you can count his Fire Dragon King Dragon Force combo that he was doing recently with Suzaku, because that would definitely be something that Gray would have a lot of trouble with. But that's not something that's just like his general level. Like, he's combining his second highest form and using it with his first highest form in, like, defense and reaction speeds. And it's like, if Natsu can react to Suzaku, then I don't see an issue with him reacting to Gray at that point. What do you think of Gray using Demon Slayer versus E&D? I mean, it was cool. I mean, it was hype. One thing to talk about that I'll go more into depth in just the general conversation of, like, if Natsu's demon side further progresses, then Gray is going to have to step up and progress just to counter it. Because something, for instance, in this panel right here, and this is the reason I chose this panel, is when their fists clash, you can see the black aura on Natsu's arm, like, get pushed off, and it goes back to his normal arm. And then once they're not making direct contact like that, it goes back to being claws, which would indicate, obviously, the devil slaying attribute of it is neutralizing and pushing back Natsu's Ethereus side. Because there's just the big unfair advantage of, obviously, Devil Slayer versus any form of demon or devil. Obviously, E&D is like his, in this picture, it's like his most infantile state, but still. Mishima said Gray is still strong. We just haven't seen him get a decent battle. I mean, that's realistically it. Like, we haven't seen Gray have a big upgrade fight where he pulls out some new stuff. Like, Lucy's had multiple, Urza's had some, Wendy's had some, Natsu obviously. The only one who hasn't had anything realistically, like, big new is Gray. I mean, like, even in Ellen tier, he just made, like, a large-scale devil slaying kind of, like, static, or dynamic combo, which is cool, but it isn't anything like... the easiest thing we've talked about is Gray getting an advanced Devil Slayer form. Like, instead of just the markings, he gets a horn, maybe his hand turns into a claw, or something, you know, something that's clearly an advancement of him becoming a demon to give him that higher edge and maybe some other aspects and attributes to his magic. But that's obviously something that is just like we've been in the waiting for. Like, it feels like it's gonna happen, but obviously, like, it's just that slow wait until we actually see Gray get it that feels like it's just an eternity. And again, it's hard because Gray's had a lot of character content and character progression in 100 Years Quest, but Gray hasn't had, like I said, hasn't had a lot of battles or fights. Lucy and Brandish have a rivalry obtaining the Aquarius key. Maybe it's rare because it's ice and fire. Well, I mean, like, Natsu and Gray see each other as, like, rivals and enemies. Well, not like enemies, like guild enemies, all the time. Like, it goes off of the character's perception and things that they think about. So, obviously, if you're saying, like, you turn into your rival and Gray thinks of Natsu or vice versa, then clearly they're rivals by their own admission. Just because Natsu right now has an overall better feat portfolio than Gray doesn't mean Gray can't catch up. Like, Gray has multiple ways to advance. It's just we haven't had... Like, Gray hasn't had an opponent that's really been one of those people. When you look at all of Gray's main fights, I mean, like, Scullion, we haven't gotten the Scullion rematch. I'm still hoping that happens. With Hakune, I mean, Gray countered her. Had to do more of, like, Hacks Ice versus Hacks Ice. With Kotetsu, I do not think that he's going to really be that intimidating. I really don't think Kotetsu is going to push Gray that hard. Like, I see Gray having a short, like, bit of difficulty and just being like, okay, well, how do I handle this if this guy's turning all my attacks into something else? But, I mean, like, there's general ways. I mean, Gray could just become faster and just blitz him. Because it's like, even if this guy can turn his attacks into other things, primarily into metal, Gray just has to start hitting him before he can react fast enough. And the thing that we saw in this chapter is Gray and Lucy are still in base. Neither of them leave base. And with Gray has a significant boost when it comes to his whole ice demon form. I wish we had an official name for it, like Devil Force or something of similar nature. Just like alter the naming a little bit, Devil something, but we don't have any of that. I wonder if we'll ever get one, because like it's been around a while and we haven't seen any form of like official naming or unofficial naming. It's just like this progressive demonification. It seems that Godzilla is near Natsu's power and he got washed by God Serena. But he lost to God Serena because God Serena countered him. God Serena literally stood there, waited for Godzilla to make a move, and then just countered him and then attacked once he got countered. God Serena did not beat him in a direct head-on fight. God Serena just said, okay, do something, and then had a way around it, and then he would just attack while he was mid-countering. That's the only reason, really, right now that he lost. Like, Godzilla just had a unfair matchup, really. Like, his whole, like, buff is shadows, but one, God Serena has light and a way to counter that, and two, God Serena also has darkness, so it's like, can he really hurt him the same way? I mean, he doesn't have iron or any form of metal, but I mean, he's got diamond, so it's like, in terms of durability, he should be generally higher. Obviously, if they were the same level, he's going to be higher, but I mean, like, Godzilla, until we see something of him that would indicate that he can deal with something like that, it's just like, you're going to have to look at this like, oh yeah, he just has too many things to deal with. Like, Godzilla can't, like, Godzilla's a capable character, but it's like, if you get countered by literally everything, and this guy can just overtake you in a few moves, like, what is he going to do? Like, a Diamond Dragon and an Iron Dragon, who also has, like, ways of countering your shadows. Like, he's just too much for him in terms of a direct fight. Because, like, Godzilla doesn't have any special edge to his moveset. Like, Natsu can, like, burn things to horrendous degrees. He can do internal cooking. Lucy's got Gemini when he's got all of her enchantments. But Godzilla doesn't have anything that has, like, some, like, you know, you get hit by this or trapped in this, caught in this, like, you might be fucked even if you're stronger than he is. Like, one of those kind of moves. A lot of characters, generally in the series, have something that they can whip out and then use as, like, a real dangerous trump card. Natsu's the main character, of course, we just see him shine more. I mean, he's in the bigger fights. So it's just like, Gray just hasn't gotten a battle that is one where he can logically do that right now. Because he didn't really get a fight in Drasil. Or, sorry, Johnny. He didn't get a fight in the Dogre Labyrinth. He got kind of a fight in Drasil with Metro, but I mean, that was more of a him and Juvia fight. And his whole bit in Elentier, Hakune, it was more about ice versus ice, and not so much as, like, Gray evolving as like a fighter. So that's like, I think here, when it comes to, okay, we have a environment that it's very hot. We have, like, I would imagine, like, imagine this. It's like Gray after switching bodies with Natsu, because he is just, you know, technically in a Dragon Slayer body at that time. Bam, he doesn't feel any of this as hot. And then he goes back to normal Gray, and he's like, oh, well, I want to get back to that, you know, but obviously, like, I don't have heat resistance the same way as Natsu does, but I can overtake the temperature. And he just starts he freezes the whole area. That's, like, a new thing. Like, just his passive, like, body temperature. Because I think that would be really cool, but it's like, we just haven't gotten anything to build off of for something like that. But I'm hoping Kotetsu is the person for it, because, like, I feel like a lot of people, like, I don't know anybody who's got stocks in Kotetsu. I feel like Kotetsu stocks primarily are to get Gray stronger. I really doubt he is going to be anything special of a character. Because, like, he just is, like, this edgy-looking dude. Like, with the Ganai, he's at least funny, and he's goofy, so he fits, like, Mishima's whole setup. It's, like, usually there's, like, a goofy guy in each and every main enemy group. Gray to freeze time? I think if Gray's going to get anything like that, it would be essentially more of he freezes, like, he makes it so cold that it's just hard to move. Like, your body would get slower. Because, like, if you've ever been in a zone where you're either too hot or too cold and you're trying to bear through it, it's hard to concentrate. it's really hard to kind of keep your mind set into one flow of a conversation if you're extremely hot or extremely cold, just because your body is obviously having trouble with it, and it's just very distracting. So it's going to depend. I mean, I would love to see something kind of crazy like that. I don't know about freezing time, just because I feel like it's a little bit too high-end wild for Gray to have, because then it's like, well, how's it, like 99% of characters going to even remotely fight Gray if he can just freeze time? Gray must be hiding something big, so I don't really want him to assume he's automatically weaker. I think Gray's going to pull something out. I'm expecting some form of really cool new upgrade and like boost where it's going to make, oh, well, now I have the room and the reason to try this out or something like that. Also, real fast, we got a couple people in here. If you guys could like the stream, thumbs up the stream, and if you got anybody that might want to come in, chat about what's going on, talk about this chapter, talk about just recent general events in the series, and we can see what exactly, people want to talk about. Like, if you guys got any general questions that you might have that I might be able to answer, you'd like to hear my opinion on, go ahead. As well as we did meet the first goal for the mic goal at $100. We now have the stretch goal. We've got it 2.5 weeks if we can reach it. The $500 goal to where I'll set up my mic. I got my green screen all set up, and we'll start doing reaction content. We'll be able to I'll actually be on the stream. It won't just be my avatar, and we'll open up a new avenue for more content to where we'll be able to do more than just talk about the chapters and stuff. We can do stuff like maybe some anime reviews, like anime reaction reviews. We can do stuff like we could look over the goofy fairy tale death battles. I know they're horrible, but it'd be really funny, I feel like, to just sit down and kind of do a stream where we talk about them. But I'd rather do it as if I get to that point, I'd rather do it with it if I have my camera set up so it's not just my voice and my avatar like this, because I feel like it's more entertaining that way. I mean, fairy tale is wild, or finding people who can turn anything to whatever. I mean, I get that, but I'm saying it's for Gray. Because it's you can have somebody like Demaria, where it's you can stop time and you're real crazy. But then it's once they're done and they're taken out of the story, unless they come back in, you don't have to worry about how difficult it is to kind of intertwine that into events. Because I feel if Gray has the ability to stop time, what are most characters going to be due to fight back? Let me see. So one thing to talk about in the chapter is Gray right now too. He's in it's hard to say because he's in this weird backseat position because he just doesn't seem like he's gonna fight it all right now. I'm anticipating. I would really like it if this is more of we're gonna get a little bit of character development. Maybe the characters that have switched bodies are gonna figure something out about the other person's powers, and that's gonna be able to help them out once they get their main abilities back. One of those things, similar to Gray was messing around with Juvia's magic. Obviously ice and water are close, so it'd be really cool to see he's learned an ability to essentially make a frozen ocean, but the ice flows like water because he's got dynamic ice make at this point. Something like that, but with maybe Urza, or not Urza, Brandish, Lucy. I don't expect Brandish to come out with anything new. Lucy kind of just maybe develops some, I don't know, it's really hard to say what you how you can transition her magic to Lucy's, but at least on the way that she can kind of format it. Maybe with this, I wonder if she had Gemini, she had Gemini summoned and turned and touched her, then she would be able to have Gemini turn into Brandish. Because I do generally think that Lucy and Brandish have the same level of magical power at this point. It wouldn't surprise me if Lucy has more as a quantity, though, in terms of her magic pool. Maybe it would have to be a price or something Gray could die. I don't think it's going to be something like that. We really don't need another Gray sacrificing move type of moment. Especially after Alvarez, it's why have him do something in 100 Years Quest? It'd have to be something he's literally trying to step in a potential suicide scenario to save people or something. It would have to be something that isn't I'll use this technique, but the drawback. It's we don't need that. We do not need that. You have to have a very specific reason for it, and on top of that, we would need we would need a better follow-up because we can't just have Greg constantly be trying to use these abilities and not use them. And what's funny is he actually has only tried to use Ice Shell twice because he didn't actually he planned on using it initially in Alvarez but stopped. But he only really was like going to go full on through it was when he initially used it and when he was going to use it against Zareth. No, so Gray didn't even really know how to use water magic directly when Sai turned him into Juvia. He just knew that their magics were similar, and it took him a second to really grasp it, but he was mostly like practicing ice magic and trying to figure out how water magic, trying to figure out how it worked. Because like we never have gone too much into depth about like how you use one magic versus another and the requirements for it. But I imagine, if you have something that's like, oh yeah, you have to learn how to use water magic, you need to know about aspects of the water and like how water, how water is as an element and not just like, oh yeah, bam, I have this power. Like, because, like, one thing we really don't have too much of in Fairy Tail, like, we've gotten it to a degree with Lucy, but we've never really seen somebody, like, start from the basics and, like, learn a magic while giving us an understanding about what's going on. Like, somebody said, oh, when it comes to learning a magic, you have to, like, connect the concept with your magic. Like, you have to be able to, in your mind, imagine using that magic, and then that's how your body gets used. I don't know, something that it's like it gives us this kind of clear-cut explanation of the, core and foundational understandings of magic utilization. It's kind of hard to really kind of directly say without it just being some overkill type thing. If you had E&D versus Ignia, do you think it would be more intense than the E&D fought in Grey and Alvarez? Yeah. Because, like, the one that we have now, like, the form that fought Merc's Phobia, like, that one is absurdly more powerful than the one that we saw in Alvarez. And Ignia would love that. So it would just be like him just having a great time battling and brawling. He actually did it thrice. That's just Natsu the first time. Leon. He was kind of... I counted as like the same thing with like Leon. And... Wait, so this 2 plus Seraph. It's kind of like everything that was happening in Galuna Island was relatively the same event. Because Gray kind of like thinking for a second he was going to use it against Deliora and then Deliora breaking. It's like, well, I don't really know if I count that. Because that wasn't like, oh man, he's in the moment. He's getting the spell prepped. He's already got it going. There's like a few second moment before anybody else is going to do anything. Because, I mean, like, oh, then he could say him in Tartaros with Silver. It's like, does that count? But it's like, Gray seemed to initially want to do it and then changed his mind. Because with Deliora, it's like he was just going for the pose for like a second, and Natsu just kind of stood ahead of him and then just talked shit, and then Deliora immediately died. I wouldn't really count that one. Lucy doesn't gain anything magic-wise off Branish's ability. She might at least learn to expect, so she's Neville Branch versus Lucy in fights. See, if she learns anything, I would like to believe it's more about, like, maybe, like, precision casting. Because with Branish's magic, you're generally either using it on yourself or you pick a target. So you have to be able to put your magic at a specific singular thing. I imagine there's a degree of complexity to it, but maybe it's something that Lucy will be able to kind of hone down. Because, like, for instance, if you look at what we have for her star dresses right now, primarily the easiest two to go off of. I mean, she only has, 3 Stardust mixes? She's got the Gemini, Aquarius, Leo, and Virgo, and then Aquarius and Scorpio, right? I don't know if she has another one. I don't think so, off the top of my head. But if you look at, for instance, Leo and Virgo as her main one, her whole, Leon Maiden? It's like an AoE attack. It's, these light pillars all around her, and they're going to radiate energy, but it's not the same as when she is in her Gemini and Scorpio star dress, and she says, what was it, Aquastorm? I think this attack was called Aquastorm, to where she's instead using concentrated water. So you're instead switching an AoE to a heavy singular attack. So I wonder if she'd be able to do something like that with her with her Virgo and Leo star dress. Like maybe she does another one where she combines all the light. Like I'm thinking almost like a Big Bang, but not really. Like she gathers the light into like one spot and then it explodes outwards for like an AOE attack, but it'd be a much more concentrated one. Or maybe like the area would be like it'd be. I think it'd be cool if it's one of those ones where it's like out the further you get out, even if it reached there, the general damage is lower. But if you're like right at the epicenter, like you're gonna be just getting blasted away. I'm surprised you haven't gotten a Natsu and Lucy Unison raid. I mean, that's something that Mishima's gonna be saving. Like you know how he is when it comes to ship stuff. Like he likes to tease. He likes to give shit time and really kind of let it like marinate before we really get it. Just trying to harass people on Twitter. I haven't done it all day. All right. So, with what we've seen too, Gray has always been a rival to Natsu. The only thing that people ever really bring up is the whole like Natsu has like general better feats and he's got like stronger opponents. But I mean, especially recently, Gray's had way more character development, way more character progression. And we just need to see that switch. We need to see some just general more character stuff around us because we've gotten chunks in 100 Years Quest, but we haven't got anything as like the main focus. Whereas like with Natsu, or sorry, with Gray, we're getting like, oh yeah, he's got all this stuff going with Juvia and the way that he sees himself and believes himself, and he has a lot of like issues with how he views like his own strength. Because like stuff like that is very intriguing from a character standpoint, especially like far into the game. Because, like, Gray, it's not like, oh, I'm weak because, you know, there's some people are stronger than me. It's more of, like, his own accomplishments, what he's done, what he's got people stuck in, and more about his, like, moral strength. Because we know he was really upset about what had happened when he tried to kill Natsu. So it's like even though they beef, like, he knew that that was all fucked up, and he didn't want to do that anymore. Like he wanted to atone for what he did, and I think that's a very fair kind of setup. Let me see. I still don't. I still count the first stellar moment since it's clear he wanted to. But it's like then you can count silver. But I mean, all he did was get the pose. Like he wasn't even fully going through with it, and immediately got stopped. Because it's not like when it came to Leon, like he was going like full in and getting ready for it. Like just because you had the mindset, like maybe I'll do it now, doesn't mean that he was actually going to fully like do it. I don't count it unless he gets to like a certain stage. So, I'm trying to think of, like, generally, like, what else happened this week. Because, like, I do want to mainly talk about Fairy Tail, but I want to, like, teeter, obviously, into other series. But, I mean, it's Thursday. So, like, we got spoilers for stuff. But, I mean, Black Clover, we're probably going to get, like, no Black Clover spoilers, realistically, like, ever. Like, the next time we get it's going to be in December, and it's like, we're going to get, like, 4 pages, maybe, like, a couple panels out of, like, a 50 to 60-page chapter. So it's going to be, like, random stuff, where it's like, the leaker people are going to, like, do some fuck-around thing, where it's like, we're going to get, like, one cool panel and a bunch of random side stuff, where it's like, Leopold just kind of off on the side. If Gray could freeze certain attacks, I would love to see Gray use the ice he's managed to copy and overcome before, so one of the Natsu's done with Dragonfire. Because, one, we have Inval's Ice, which voids your durability and resistance to the cold. So Gray could use that offensively, and then he could have, like, he's already, like, encountered and dealt with Hakune's Ice that can freeze your powers and stuff, like freeze your magic, or, you know, just power systems. Like, I don't imagine she could freeze alchemy, because alchemy seems different. It doesn't seem to have a power source. But I mean, like, you know, magic, curses, and spiritual arts. So she's able just to kind of nope them And then if Gray could get that too, I mean, I think Gray would be a monster. Like, as long as it's put way more high end. Because, like, with freezing time, like, unless like, another character has the ability to counter freezing time, or at least a way to contend while it's up, it would just be Gray pretty much instantly winning. Like, what does anybody really do from that for, like, an opponent standpoint? There's only so many characters in the burst that can withstand time being frozen. Because, like, once time's frozen, you could just go over there and cut some dude's head off. Or you go over there, like, Gray could go over there and literally just, like, shove ice down their throat and choke them to death. So it's a neat power. It would have to be something, like, if Gray ever got something like freezing time, it would have to be, like, literally his last fight, or at least his last, like, major focused fight. Just because I don't really see, like, if he gets something like that, like, who's ever going to fight and defeat him in terms of, like, a Gray opponent. And it'd be difficult to be like, well, can you put him, like, in a scenario with, like, Ignia? Because, like, if he can free, like, a hiccup right there. I need to drink some ginger ale. If he can just keep doing that, and then it's like, well, is Ignia just going to either tank it, or is he somehow going to be able to move through stop time? What exactly is the plan is? Because if it's something like, you know, large group encounter, where it's like, oh, you know, they're all fighting Ignia trying to, ooh, hold on. So actually, the way this could work, imagine Gray's already got his last major 1v1 fight, and anything else is going to be more so either, like, you know, maybe some absurdly crazy person that can counter time stop. But it's like, there's that fan chapter where it's, what was it? I'm trying to remember who it all was. I think it was Ignia, Selene, and, like, Acnologia revived, and it was, like, them versus, like, pretty much them versus the whole guild. But Natsu was asleep, but Natsu was talking to, like, the Acnologian Beta Heaven. So you could do something where it's like, oh, well, Gray frees his time, he can only hold it for so long. Because I wonder how it would work, though. Well, I mean, like, if he froze time and Natsu was still in, like, a coma, it wouldn't affect Natsu's coma because Natsu can move while time is stopped. So it's hard to say. I don't know. I never really directly thought about that, but I feel like that's an easy kind of just bit to go off of. Because I think it'd be really cool if it's like, okay, they're all just trying to stall out time. Even though they can't beat this dude, they know that if they hold out long enough that Natsu might, you know, get back up and really join in the fight. It's like, I don't feel like there's any time where having something like a main character build up to the fight. I love that bit where it's, oh yeah, the rest of the cast are just trying to buy time. They're trying to hold out until the main character can get there. I love stuff like that. Like, as long as they do that well, it's such a great moment when the main character pops in. And the thing about it is Mishima's 2 series in Shonen of most significant, like, notes, or I guess most significant mentioning aspects. You have Dragon Ball and you have Naruto. Mishima obviously grew up on Dragon Ball, and he said that if there was any series he would pick to be like a rival in manga for Fairy Tail if he had to, would be Naruto. And Naruto and Dragon Ball both have amazing setup, like, you know, we gotta stall them out, wait for the main character to come in. You know, Goku arriving to the scene both with the Saiyans and on planet Namek. Naruto showing up to fight Pain after he invaded the village. Like, stuff like that, I could really see building a super hype moment. Because you don't have to do anything, like, extraordinary in the writing for that. Like, obviously you can do additional stuff. But when it comes to just, oh yeah, like, how am I going to keep this hype? You know, just having the main character, you know, waiting. Like, you're like, oh shit, when is he going to get here finally? Stuff like that is, you know, it can be built a lot easier. Because you're not adding anything additionally new. You're just going to be doing maybe some fights and some ways to kind of build up the entry of one of these guys. And I mean, I'm pretty confident Mishima would do fine with that. I really would be surprised if he somehow fumbled something where it's just like you're just kind of standing by waiting for people to pretty much arrive. Because I would be super hyped for that. It's like, you know, you just have like each member of the guild really just putting in their all. They know they can't win. and it's like Ignia smacking them around. Maybe he's about to kill somebody, and then you have Natsu show up to the scene. That would be so cool. And again, it's like a pretty straightforward main character thing, but I think it's one that like just I don't think it gets old as long as you do it right. And it's like you have to really fuck it up to fuck it up. I thought Deku's was an example of like it didn't get messed up, but I don't think it was nearly as good as it could have been. But I think it was still good. Like I would have liked it if Deku showed up a little bit later. Cause like that was my thing for Asta when it came to this arc is like I don't know if maybe it's just because they switched to Giga, but I was hoping so bad that Asta was gonna not show up for like another 20 something chapters, 30 chapters, and really let the content build up to his return. Because once it's like, oh yeah, fuck, everybody's losing, but they're putting in their all, they're just trying to do what they can. And then you get down to it, and it's like, at what point is the dude going to show up? When's the main character going to show up? And you're just seeing characters get bodied and really just kind of thrown around, and you're just waiting for this guy to arrive. Like, that shit's super hype. It's always fun. It gets the fandom boiling and rolling, and then it's just like when the dude steps foot on the battlefield, you know it's main character time, and this guy's about to, they're about to show why they're the main character. Like, that's pretty much what I'm hoping for later. But, I mean, that's obviously wishful thinking. I feel like it's very possible just given like where we're at when it comes to Ignia. I was thinking about Lucy's magic and maybe she can eventually learn to purify dark evil things like Ray freezing time. The thing is like Lucy eventually should be something like she just can keep combining her star dresses. She should be able to do stuff with space. Like, I always thought that Anna, it would make sense if she could open portals into other dimensions. But it's just like she's not nearly as proficient as Celine, per se. Like, say, as long as Anna has something that connects to it. Like, oh, we have this item that we brought back from that world. It's like, okay, well, she can now use that item as a conduit to open a portal over to that world instead. Like, stuff like that. I think that would be perfect for her because it's cool and it adds a lot of general value, but it doesn't alter how she operates on a larger scale. It gives her more utility. And utility is one of the biggest factors in like upgrading because you can get a ton of just general big power moves, but if you don't get any utility, then you're going to get caught out pretty quick. Like look at Wendy. Wendy has so much utility and it's constantly just like coming in clutch and being like, "Damn, it's a good thing Wendy's on this team. It's a good thing she was here to really kind of pull everybody out of the mud." Natsu keeps surpassing my expectations every chapter. Who knows will be strong at the end of the manga. I mean, so Natsu at the end of the series has to be Dragon God level. I feel like it just makes sense that he's going to be on level with the Dragon Gods in terms of a 1v1 fight. Because it'd be weird if all the Ignia stuff happens and Natsu and him never really fight. Because logically, that's going to be his 1v1 opponent, is Ignia. And I don't think anybody else is logically going to get up to Dragon God level by themselves. Because even Suzaku isn't even really there. Suzaku almost lost. And Natsu though is strong. Like Suzaku is clearly very powerful too. But after we saw like Natsu definitely has like a slight edge on him as well. More so, like less so I would say than like Gajeel. But at the same time, like Natsu, while putting in a lot of his like larger scale effort, was something that Suzaku was getting pushed back by. And on top of that, like Natsu can go into Dragon Force and actually use it regularly in the fight, whereas Suzaku cannot. I am amongst the people that are very curious to know when we're going to get the next 5th gen person using Dragon Force, because I doubt it's just going to be Nibaru. I imagine we'll get some more. Also, guys, anybody's still here, I appreciate you guys. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to hear my insight on when it comes to the series or any other series that you think I've read, you're all good to ask. I'd really appreciate anybody who would. As well as, if you're thinking that I've been entertaining enough, you can throw me $1 or whatever. Anything about is, as I've said, is appreciated. It's never required. It's always just an additional thing from you guys. I do really want to get the. I'm hoping we meet the $500 goal just so I can get that set up, because I actually do want to do some of the content for it. Like, I'd love to do some just general reaction content. I think it'd be fun. There's a lot of anime too that I haven't watched. Like, I'm more of a manga guy, so when it comes to new anime, unless it really piques my interest or I've already read the manga, I kind of just skip it. Have I read Dead Rock? Yeah, I've read the first 2 chapters. I've talked about it a bit. I talked about how, like, my hopes is that Dead Rock is connected to Mishima's other series, to where each of them are their own universe and they have their own timelines. Like, they're all separate fully. It's not like, oh, the multiverse directly connects to it. Like, obviously, like, Mishima can do that if he wants to. I'm hoping it's, like, a little bit more complicated. Like, even if they have, like, alternate timelines and stuff, like, they're just completely... Like, you wouldn't normally be able to connect them or do anything with them. It would only be going forward with, like, oh, yeah, but this is where they all connect. Like, they all have the same afterlife. Like, they all have the same hell. I think that would be really cool. Do you think Celine's not Natsu becoming demonic? She'll get chills from an acnologia. I think she might get a little bit of a flashback. I don't think she's going to have as much of a problem. It just kind of depends, obviously, on, like, the performance. Because acnologia was more... I mean, like, he liked it. He had a great time. And he was seeking dragons out. So, I mean, like, there might be some form of just general PTSD. But I think Celine would be overall pretty fine. I did want to talk about my theory, but I'm going to probably switch it maybe for the next one. And we talk about, like, Natsu's whole bit with... what am I looking at? Natsu's whole bit with his Etheria side. Because here's an example I think that'll be really fun to talk about. Is that we know the Etherius, they have a designed purpose. It's coded into their DNA to what that they need to do and think about. Once it gets down, really down to, like, their core. And obviously before, Natsu's was to kill Zareth, not the thing anymore. I personally think that, like, if it's not something like protecting, the idea of protecting Lucy, I think it would make a lot of sense as if it has to do with protecting the guild. Because we know that Natsu has said before he does not care about any alignment, any allegiance. It doesn't matter who it is. If somebody is an enemy of the guild, they're an enemy of him. And he does not care beyond that. So what if his Etherius purpose moved from killing Zareth to destroying any guild enemies? Because I think that would make a lot of sense in the fact that he's mentioned it multiple times. There's foreshadowing around it, especially with the Alderaan fight. And what if it's just going to be like Natsu is going to have this mindset of anything that is an enemy of the guild is legitimately destroy them, reduce them to ash. Because I think that would make a lot of sense of why Mercifully he was just like, no, there's still a body left. I need to make sure there's nothing left of him after, I think that would make a lot of sense if it's like, oh, he's an enemy of the guild, and I need to make sure there's 0 remains of him. Like, in terms of his general activity, I think that would make a lot of sense. What's up, Flame Emperor? How you doing today? Said I can't fully be here. I'm watching my dad and his team play football at the stadium right now. Well, don't worry. So, Flame Emperor, if you haven't been here for a bit, I'll just give you a quick rundown. So, the new style of the channel is I'm going to be doing these podcast kind of streams. I'm going to try and do them the best I can 4 times a week. But the times are... Well, no, so 3 times a week, 4 times including 100 Years Quest Day. Like, I might do a 4th one on the off weeks. It would just be unplanned. Like, maybe it'll just be a surprise stream. But the plan is this way I can just do them at different times to where different people can pop in. Obviously, I know, like, right now, generally this time might work for you. But it just depends, obviously, on what you're doing. What was that? Oh, a Pokemon spawned. I have my phone open. But with it, we have 2 goals. We actually met the $100 goal for me getting a new mic. This is a backup mic. So I'm hoping to get a new mic within the next couple weeks. And then at 500, which is our stretch goal, we're going to be getting a camera set up. I get a green screen. We'll start moving towards reaction content too for just additional bits on the channel. And just anything fun like that, which would be just kind of extracurricular that you could, that we'll be able to actually do with me on screen rather than just my avatar. But obviously, like I said, all of that is just based up to you guys. You know, if that's something you guys want, you know, it can be. Um, if we don't get it this one, maybe I'll just kind of do 2 different goals next month, and we'll try and meet stuff. Because I actually really like having these idea of goals for the stream. Because it's 100%, what's the word I'm looking for? It's 100% just kind of if you feel like it. It's obviously not required. I guess extracurricular, really. I don't really know the best way to say it. It's all optional. Like, you know, if people just want to wait, maybe, you know, maybe we'll get the goal for, like, the mic and stuff a month or 2 from now instead. I would prefer to get it now. I'd love to get it set up, especially, like, I want to get a lot of general area layout before we even get the first trailer of 100 Years Quest, like, the first official trailer. Mission for 2 months. Yeah, so, like, I had a lot of shit going on, and then my mic broke. Like, and then I got a new cable. That cable didn't work. Ordered another new cable. That cable didn't work. Looked it up. Apparently, my mic has a problem to where outside of the initial mic cables that they ship them with, they don't respond well to any other cables, even if it's like made for the same brand. I don't really know. So it was just really annoying. So I might try again and just kind of tweak it a little bit, because if I could do that, that'd be great, and I don't have to drop $100-something to get a new mic. And we can kind of reallocate that maybe to something else. But like I said, everything is up to you guys essentially with that. Like, I'm gonna put out content regardless. I'm gonna be putting out stuff talking about the series, talking about new chapters, any news around Shonen primarily. Like I like Senin, but I mean, like, Senin doesn't have like the word flow of conversation that Shonen obviously does. Like, we can talk about like a chapter of Berserk every 6 months. Rax did the lax. Did you see Nancy saw multiple times Dead Rock's machine was only work keep invested? I don't know why that is. So, I mean, Eden Zero, I've talked about that before. I think, I keep knocking this mic over. See, this mic has like a cable that isn't, like, it isn't set up on my stand, and I don't want to set it up on my stand because by the time I do, I might just do it anyway. By the time I do, I feel like I'm just going to have my new mic. I might just get it anyway because I keep knocking this shit over. But I already knew that based off of the formatting, Eden Zero fresh into Universe Zero was going to be slow. Just because Mishima was going to take his time showing, okay, well, what's different? What's the true universe versions of all these characters? What is, like, the most pure form of Elsie? What's the most pure form of Draken Joe and Shura and, Feather and Wise? Like, it was going to be difficult. It was going to be difficult going into that because it's not designed to be exciting. It's designed essentially just to be some information that you're getting an understanding of. Like I said, it's like if we got the Starry Sky arc in the manga, because the first half of the Starry Sky arc is slow as hell. The second, like, the overall arc is good. The overall arc is a good story. It's got good plot twists. The fights are solid. It's the first half absurdly slow, extremely slow, that I understand every time people start it and they have issues, that they just, like, they don't have as much hype until they get to, like, the Erasion Seisen stuff. Everything before that, I understand to why it's hard to watch. By the way, I saw you'll be eventually react to death battles. Maybe sometime you can come up with your own death battles and explain the reason behind them. So that was one of the things that I do plan on doing. I talked about. So it would be more of like a community thing. So we would get, like, I'll get people in the Discord. We would, like, let me post that really fast. We would get people, like, in the Discord chat. I would probably have everybody at least come up with one fight, and we would take turns just like, okay, well, how is my phone warm? I'm literally just inside. I got to get a new phone, too. I might make that a frickin' stretch goal if you guys can help me get a new damn phone. I only need, like, $100, too, for a new phone. So it'd be like an additional thing. Maybe after the next one, that's like a bonus. Just be like, hey guys, this one is more like if you could do me a solid. Because, like, every single time I'm, like, thinking about getting a new phone, I have another thing I have to fucking end up putting my money towards. So I've just had my phone a little bit longer than I should have. And it keeps overheating. It's pissing me off. Like, it gets so much hotter than any other phone I've had right now. Like, regularly I'll have to, like, take it and put it on, like, my leg or, like, on my arm or my chest. To, like, that's a spot that's, like, room temperature, just to get this bitch, like, cooled down to where it's not so hot. I have to let my body absorb, like, my fucking phone heat so my phone can function. I get like it's not even a bad phone. It's like a Pixel 5. It's just I think it's just getting older because I've had it for like I want to say 2 years, 2.5 years. And I know usually like if you have a phone at like the 3 year mark or something, like usually people replace them after 2 years. So I gotta figure that out at some point. Oh, I was gonna post the Discord really quick. I got distracted because my phone was just bugging me. That'll be a thing at some point. Like once but I gotta get more. Like the way that I really see it too, is like I don't want to do anything. Like I don't like to do anything that like asks for anything additional or does anything wild additional, unless I feel like I've put out enough general stuff for it to be like if I was gonna be like, yeah guys, I haven't streamed in 5 months. Can you help me? You guys help me get a new phone? I think that would be lame. But it's like, if I've been putting out general content for a while and it's like, guys, listen, this is just a side thing. If you want to donate, you don't have to. Like, but I've been putting out like, oh yeah, I've got like, like I said, 3 to 4 streams every week for like, a month or two. Because like, to me, like, I know it varies from person to person. I look at my stream and like my chat more of just like, I guess more of like a chat room or like kind of like a forum, but instead of like typing, I'm the one talking. And anytime that anybody wants to donate towards me, I look at more as like a tip. Because like I know some people refer to like the people, they're like, oh, they're fans. Like I feel like that's a little strange because I don't think you guys are a fan of me. I think you guys appreciate maybe my stance or just enjoy like maybe like some of my takes, or maybe it's just you think I'm just have some fun conversations. Or maybe you just like to put me in the background because I talk a lot and you just want to hear some fairy tale content or whatever's going on. It just kind of depends person to person. But I mean, I look at more as like viewers and people who just like they're here to be entertained. As long as I can entertain you guys, I feel like I'm doing my job. And it's not like I'm up on stage kind of, but I mean, if I can do anything to kind of just make anybody's day go by a little bit smoother, I know that's pretty solid. Like one of the things I remember, for example, is a YouTuber. I still watch him sometimes. I don't watch him like as much. I used to watch his videos every day because he'd put a video out every day where he's like opening Yu-Gi-Oh cards and stuff. But this was like something I would do regularly at lunch at the job I had at the time, which I always thought was just nice. That it's like, oh well, I know every time that I'm gonna go to lunch, I have one of this dude's videos that's like about half of my lunch break, so I can eat half of it, spend the other half just chilling. So if I can consistently keep up something like that where it's like, oh yeah, you got something going on, you can put me in the background, I can just kind of be some white noise and just some point you might want to tune in and out. I feel like that's the best thing for it because I always really like that whole general structure. Like I don't have any products or anything to give you guys. Like maybe one day, like if like just hypothetically, like maybe if the stream really picks up, it's doing well, maybe we have some like memes and stuff that like we develop. We could have stuff like, oh, we could maybe do a t-shirt or like a hat or something. Like maybe something like that, but it's like while I'm in a position that I only do videos, I don't have any product to give you guys. I only want to do stuff to where it's like I put out content and, if you guys think it's worthy of, getting some tips, that's all I really ask for. Because it's more so like, like I said, I'm just trying, like, not like a street performer, I guess. But you know what I mean? To where it's hard to say. Because, like, I don't like it when people only do stuff for trying to draw in money. But like obviously there's a goal mindset to it, but it just depends on how you perceive going about getting it and how you do it. Because I feel like when it comes to the stream, like we only got like 6 people here. I mean I don't usually have giant streams. Generally it's like between 10 to 30, like 30 on a good day. I know I've had more, but it just depends. But I feel like as long as I put out consistent good content, I mean, people might want to throw $1 my way. They might throw $2 my way. I know Ice Juice has been doing crazy since I came back. I know Kenmano is he's waiting on something. Like every time it's mentioned, like he brings something up about it, and he seems like he's prepped. I know Iron Nancy helped a lot too. Freaking Daniel helped. Harumi. I hope I don't forget anybody off the top of my head. But I mean, just anybody generally helping, obviously, I do really appreciate it. Everything that goes towards the channel does really go a long way. And to me, like I said, the way that I'm viewing it, because obviously, like, I'm not going to pretend like, yeah, I don't like money. But I mean, like, I don't want it to be like one of those people who, like, that's the only goal. Like I said, my plan is content with the belief, as long as I'm putting out stuff entertaining enough, as long as I'm doing enough for you guys, and there's going to be people out there that feel like, helping me out a little bit. So, like, that's why I want to get it consistent, and I want it to be to where that you guys like, I don't want it to ever to be like people feel like they have to donate, but it's always like, oh, you think about it, you're like, you know what, I've listened to 5 Araxis streams this week, like whatever, 7-8 hours of content, and I enjoy his takes, or I enjoy some of the ruckus that goes on in his chat and his channel. I can throw him $2. Thank you, Ice Juice, for cutting up my example for the $2, man. I really appreciate it. As an update, I will say, we are at 102 now. So we're past the $100 mark. We're now officially moving towards the stretch goal. I appreciate it, Ice Juice, man. Let me actually hold on a second. You've been here a minute, and on top of that, you've been helping out a lot, and you've been active in my stream since I came back. I don't know. I'll just put you standard for now. Keep it up, and you can move up to the higher end moderator. Yeah, I'm gonna have a colored name now, my dude, Ice Juice. Let me read some of the chats real fast before I move on. Like, I focused on that, but I felt like I had to. He's following up my point literally mid-conversation. But what I was saying, like, I knew Eden Zero was going to be in the slow spot. I do not agree that the recent stuff has been slow. I think everything that since Helix, Joker, and Wise has been involved has been really entertaining. What happened to Josuke? Josuke, I think the whole... I don't want to go... I can't give out too much of his personal life, because obviously that's not my spot to give. But I know he got a new job, and it just takes up a lot of his time. Like, I don't hear from him a ton anymore. Like, he'll pop in every now and then. Like, the thing is, I feel like if we could get a new hype series, he would come back. I need to get him to Gachi Akuda. Because Gachi Akuda has been hype. And on top of that, like, it's consistent in it, too. I really like the general structure of it. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the series progresses. So I really like the art. I'm hoping it's going to be a good while shonen, because it's just... I miss long-running shonens. It hurts when it's like these series are ending at like 150, 160 chapters. It, like, legitimately, like... For the newer gen people, like, it's normal, but, like, again, these longer running series, like, I miss them. I miss having stuff that's like, oh, the series is doing well, so you have time to invest. Like, this is going to be going on potentially, like, 8 to 10 years, not, like, 3 to 4. Like, I like to get invested into stuff like that. So it's like when stuff gets burnt short, it just feels, especially when they have higher potential. Another Magic series? Yes, I would love another Magic series. Like, what was the last? Like, I liked Mashal a lot. I thought Mashal was a lot of fun. Gink and Luna, I actually really enjoyed I enjoyed the series overall. I understood why it didn't pick up. Like, it seemed like the overall plot jumped around way too fast. Like, way too fast. Like, you could barely hold on to what was happening. So I always thought that was something that the series, like, it was a big flaw in its part. Because, like, the art was good, the world building was good, the characters and designs were interesting. It was just, like, the series didn't have anything that if you were reading it weekly, outside of, like, mystique and world building, you weren't getting a lot of story. It just seemed like they just kind of moved along, like, as things progressed. By the way, I know you'll eventually react Death Battles. Oh, I read this one. So, well, yeah, what we'll do, Ice Juice, is we'll get to a spot. I'll post it on the Discord. I'll talk about it for people on the Discord. What we'll do is we'll plan a day, maybe Saturday, is we'll have like a versus stream, and people like have to pick a couple fights coming in. Like maybe it's like everybody gets 3 fights. It's just gonna depends obviously on who shows up, and then we just kind of discuss like who would win between those. I think that would be pretty fun. Opinion on Gojo and I'm just making fun of Sukuna. Well, so one thing that I actually have questioned, you might be able to give more clarification because I don't want to have to go back and look at the chapter, but isn't Sukuna still missing his body? Like he has all his fingers, but he doesn't have his full power. To my knowledge, like right, he has he's most of the way there, but he doesn't have his body to kind of really wrap up his full power. To my understanding. Because, like, I get why he's doing other things. I mean, especially if he's in Megumi's body. But, I mean, like, he's definitely, like, all that shit talking, and he's getting pushed around, and he has to, like, call upon additional dudes. Yeah, comes back, leaves for 2 months, comes back for weekly streams. That's the plan. Because, like, what I want to do is they're outside of, like, when the chapter comes out. Like, those ones I want to do it generally, like, 20 to 30 minutes before the chapter comes out. Chapter... and then maybe like 20 to 30 minutes of general digestion, depending on the chapter. Like if we get a crazy chapter, we'll talk about it until people just pretty much just leave. We'll just talk about it until everybody's pretty much got their full of everything, and we'll just wait until the next theory or like event pops up. But the goal is 3 to 4 streams a week. They'll be at staggered times, so maybe one Thursday, it's at 1, like, or 2, 3 o'clock. I know last week it was like 7 or 8. I don't remember the exact time I started, but it was pretty early in the morning compared to most of my streams. And then, the other day I did a stream started at like, late at night. I think it was like 9 or 10. So the time set is never going to be concrete outside of generally the chapter reviews, unless something comes up and I can't review it that day live. But the goal, so I'll tell you guys this. So right now I'm trying to set to a different job. I like my current job, but like it's starting to really slow down, and it's all commission based. So I'm like, it's not as sustainable right now in the slower months. So I'm switching to a job that like it might be to where it's one of those ones. I'm sure that some people here might have known somebody that has done it or heard of it or done it themselves, where it's like you might end up going out on like a job site for a few days. And to do that, this is going to be a eventual goal, is to get a laptop. It's going to be a big goal. So it's going to be to get a laptop to where even when I'm gone, like say I have to leave for a few days, I can still do content while I'm out. Like, after the end of a day, I go back, rest before the next day, and I do like an hour and a half, 2-hour stream, and I just talk to you guys. I think that would be really fun. Racks on the go. Like maybe I'm in a different place. Because, like, what if it's like, I'm in an area where the time zone, even if it feels regular for me, it makes it easier for somebody else or something. Or, something pops up crazy that day. I'd rather be able to do it. I know I think I can stream on my phone. Maybe that'll be it. Like, at least part of it is, like, we get to, hey, guys, help me get a new phone so I can stream while I'm out. Because I really don't want to get to a spot where I, like I said, get consistent and then, like, it dies off. I really am trying to avoid that. Like, I really want to get everything kind of just back in the full swing and kind of just chat. Didn't he use Megumi body to get full power? Is that how it was? Because I thought he needed his full body, and Megumi was just kind of something to hold into for the time being. Being on filler, Clover now dropping 1 chapter every 3 months. It's going to be rough. I mean, like, that's just going to be the case. Like, as much as I love what's up, Plasma Gun? I mean, you're not late, man. We still got some time. We'll go for at least another 30 to 45, maybe an hour, depending on, like, we got 10 people in here. People are starting to kind of pick up. We were at 6 a few minutes ago. I mean, like I said, I don't intend for every stream to be massive in quantity. But, I mean, as long as people are chatting, stuff's going on, I'll keep going. Like I've talked about before, as long as the flow continues, like, I'll go until something demands for me to stop. I got distracted in what I was saying. Imagine Build King, it's an OVA announces it's back in Jump Ultra. That would, like, legitimately, I would cry. Like, I'm telling you right now, I would tear up. I'm dead serious. Like, if it's hard to really say without anybody having read Toriko, but Build King could have been something so interesting. The concepts of the verse was so cool. Especially, like, the power system was really neat. well, Asta like cause out like fate release is not what you're thinking it is. Like it's literally like your fate. Like your fate stuck in this effect spell. It's not like he's altering fate when he's using fate release. Like Asta can't do that. What was I saying? But like Build King had legit potential. And if you've read Toriko, you'll know what I mean. What's up, Happy? How are you doing? If you've read Toriko, you'd understand what I mean. But Build King, its power system was really neat. I loved the Build King aspect because they're essentially like structured Dragon Balls. To where if you get to one, you somehow earn the favor of the Build King. You get one of their legendary vigors that are like essentially lost through time. So you can get like this crazy overpowered ability just from getting and like achieving this place. It's like it'd be like, you know, an open world game. Tons of these super mega raids and bosses. You defeat one and you get some broken power that changes your entire style of play. Like that's just fun to me. Like it would be like if Natsu went and it's like he went to like a location and he got Lightning Flame Dragon mode from that instead. Like obviously that's different scenarios, but in terms of like he gets like some form of large buff that alters what he can do and gives him some form of dramatic increase. Like I think that would have been really cool. I really liked Build King structure. I feel like if he started earlier with the power system and instead did like more a direct arc early on, I think Build King could have lived. Because the stuff that he did early was neat, but I can understand why like a lot of readers weren't hyped to see him go and like mess with the upside down castle. Like I wish the first arc was more of like a classic, like, you know, they were going to go fight like a mini boss and the guy's going to be strong, but he's going to, you know, get beat up by Tonkachi. Tonkachi's going to have like a first like main character moment. Like Asta going to crap, what was that village called? Because I remember Heath. I just don't remember what that specific village was called off the top of my head. But something like that. Something like, you know, Aragorn for Natsu. Because it just gives him an early series demonstration opponent. And I think that was one of the things, too, that hurt Build King in terms of, like, trying to hook readers. Is the first chapter is solid. It's a little goofy, but it's intriguing. And, like, you get, like, some good comedy and some, like, general cool art stuff for the first few. But it's, like, once they get to the mainland, and you're doing, like, I would say after chapter, I want to say 5. Like, I want to say after chapter 5, you should be getting into the first mini arc and, like, mini plot of the story. And Build King did, but it was in something that I felt like would have done better if it was after like a mini arc. Like you should have taken the whole upside down castle bit, condensed it to maybe like a chapter or so less, or maybe it's involved with the other arc, but do so more so on a small arc that really focuses on getting the powers, getting like, you know, anybody in the main cast, like Tonkachi getting a major fight. God, I'm forgetting some of the names because it's been so long. It makes me actually a little sad. But just like everybody in the main cast getting their first skirmish, getting their first opponent, getting like a first display of what they can do, and making you like them. Because I think that was it's been so long. I forgot Tonkachi's brother's name. But I mean, like getting something to make you like him more, because he was just a pussy at the start. And I know that there was a point to that, but I would have really liked to see just... There's so many things I would have loved to see with the series, and it's like a shame that like it got canceled. Because like, I know people like bring it up. Like, it's a meme on this channel. Like, it is a long-going meme. But like, anybody that actually watched my reviews, and you can still go and watch them, knows I genuinely really liked Build King. I really liked the style. I liked the characters. I really liked that Tonkachi was either this, like, kind of cartoonish little chibi midget, and then it's like when he got serious, he actually has a design that's more set for where he's at in the verse. He reminds me a lot of Charmy, but it's like I don't think Tonkachi as a main character was a problem. I think it was the flow of early events that made a lot of newer readers not want to try it out. Because everybody that I've talked to that got a chunk in, like, did like stuff like what we were getting from the world. Obviously, like, if you haven't read Toriko, you would, like, probably not get why everything is building themed. It's like, that's just what that guy does. He focuses, like it's hard focused in the verse. Like everything in Toriko is about food. Let me see. Sukuna ate the original body. Actually, Tengen had it. Okay, so I forgot that. I didn't want to look for the chapter. So he's at full strength? Do you think Icehead Gil will survive? I don't know, dude. I saw the last ranking or the one for this week, and it's dead last. I'm hoping so bad that it picks up and turns around because I've said it before. We've talked about it in the stream too. The first few chapters of Icehead Gil, boring. They're very slow. The art isn't very good. I think once we got to like the liches and stuff, it's actually picked up and been very interesting of a series. I think that after that point, it's done a good job at differentiating itself from the other series in Shonen Jump and making you understand, like, why is this series like this? What makes this series its own thing? Okay, the main character, I mean, he's got an old classic thing. He's looking for his dad, but now he's being hunted by, like, these liches. They're, like, taking over the throne and are trying to get this guy killed so they can, like, finalize the resurrection of their father, like, and end the world. Like, there's a lot of neat stuff. It's a neat series. Alright, I read this. Tanjiro would unlock every form of homeostasis by breathing and be the Build King. Like, man, it makes me so sad. Like, I would have loved to see how Build King just went, dude. Like, it was such a neat series. It could have really been something. And I know that, like, there are people that, like, didn't like it that would probably think I'm full of shit. But it's like, if you've read Toriko and you see just the early world building that Shimabukuro was setting up with Build King, it could have been so nice. I could have sworn he negate the cause and effect of the magic. Yeah, he's going after this. Like, think of it as like a status effect. But you are undoing it. Like, but at the same time, like with poison, it's different because you're undoing all the effects of poison. It's not like if somebody was affected by like a decay and like one of their organs got destroyed, Asta doing it would undo like an organ from, like, it would just come back into existence. I don't think so. I think cause and effect is more of like the spell and the status effect of the spell. Sun Village over Water Village. Well, the thing is, like, Water Village had Veto. And Veto was actually, like, a cool bad guy. Like, because, like, the Sun Village was just set up. Like, the hype stuff in the Sun Village was what? You get information on Tartaros, and you get to see Atlas Flame and Silver. Like, you get to find about devil slaying magic. I mean, that's hype. But I wouldn't say it's better than the Water Village. Like, overall, I would say this. Up until Veto, Sun Village is better. Veto is a better end fight, and it caps the arc off better. Whereas, because ultimately the Sun Village is a setup arc, I think all the stuff, like, up until, like, the end, like, if you took it as the whole, the only thing that I'd say Black Clover really did, like, majorly better is Veto. But the thing is, like, the Veto fight is really good, and it does a lot for more than just Asta, and it does stuff for a lot of the other characters involved. And I think that would put it just above, based off of, like, what it actually holds weight-wise in its series. Zebra all Build King. So, we can't really know that. That's the thing. Is, like, the Build Kings were crazy. Like, the Build Kings all were, like, these mega structures that, like, they could exist for thousands of years. They could be struck by meteors, lava waves, like, sub-zero temperatures, warped gravity, like, monsters. But, like, they're unfazed entirely. Like, they are without damage no matter what. And, we don't know. Like, 100% mystery. The thing about it, like, I kind of want to, like, let me see. I want to skim through Build King at the end just to look at some of the designs. The end area that we were going for, too, man. Like, that made me so mad. Like, that made me so salty. 1 second. Because it had so much, like, cool shit. Like, the bad guys were making buildings and stuff out of corpses. Like, they were just doing, like, OG evil bad guy stuff. Like, there was such, like, it's got all the, I didn't notice it's got the frickin', the extra chapters in on manga. See, I actually want to look at those. And then like this actually pissed me off. This pissed me off because seeing the wrapped up stuff, seeing what his idea was when it was the multi-dimensional mountain range, not because it's like, oh, crazy dimension shit. It looks cool. It's like this kaleidoscope of mountains that goes into like this pocket space. Like, man, there could have, like, the series could have really moved to some like really cool eras, but we just really didn't get anything. Like, we just got like a time skip. We see like one thing too, it's like Hammer Island. Like, what was that gonna be? Was that gonna eventually be like a weapon, like Tonkatsu wielding a hammer? It just means like there could have been something really there for it. Like, man, it bothers me so much, like thinking all the time about like where the series could have gone, because I legitimately think it had so much potential and it really could have moved to like a really fun spot. But like I said, the series just wasn't received enough. Like, I'd have a fever dream if there was ever a time where it was like, oh, well, they're going to have the series rebooted. It's going to continue in another magazine. I know, like, that's very wishful thinking, because, like, what, Build King got canceled, like, 2 years ago now, I think? It was, like, 2 years ago. Let me see. Oh, no, they uploaded it on here all at the same time. I'd have to look. I know it was, like, in May, I want to say. May of I think 2021. I think so, because it was like right before I met my girl. Fuck. It's bothering me thinking, but you have a good one, Ice Juice. I hope you have a good rest of your day, my guy. I am looking at your comments. Some of you deleted. Forget, the thing is, like, Flame Emperor thinks he's slick. I just know he's Nebs in a different format. Like, I remember you, dude. You change your name so much. But I recognize you. Don't think I don't. Oh, somebody... I commented on a post that was, like, talking about the My Hero arc. And I was like, the toga part was ass. And somebody's like, how? And I'm like... I was imagine waking up... I'm just going to post it. Imagine waking up with the... onboard for worldwide... genocide, and then dropping it because someone said you were cute. I think the Toga stuff was horrible. I think it was horrendous. I know some people like Toga. I really didn't like the Toga part. I thought that was really bad. Somebody's saying I was like, Universe 0 is the biggest test of reader comprehension I've ever read. I actually agree. Maybe not, like, ever, but, like, I definitely agree. It's a big filter for people. Like, it really shows the gap between people who pay attention and, like, understand the story. Because, like I said, you have to understand, going into Universe 0, it was going to be a bit slow. Because the main thing was showing the people in the most purest timelines. So you're going to be seeing things that some people didn't expect, like Drakenjo not being as evil, Shura not being as evil. But I think a lot of that is just going to be like, you look at the, butterfly effect of like as time progresses in different timelines and things keep altering. But I also think it's going to be needed because whatever Void and his crew are planning, I think they're going to need all these guys all teamed up. What's up, King Rage? How you been, my guy? She just told that she could surrender to get what? Life in jail or execution? Pretty much, because like the thing is, dude, I've had a girl. I've had a girl for almost for 2 years. Probably gonna get married soon. I've been putting it off, not in a bad way, but I've just been busy. And like I said, I've had to I took this job, and I really like it, but it's like if you've never had a commission job, it's just inconsistent. And again, I like it. I've gained a lot of general skills by doing it, and like communication and how to talk to people. Like, I know there's probably at least one person here who understands, like, talking to people that you don't know can be hard. It's like, especially like trying to talk to a stranger and you're trying to talk them into selling them something. It can be rough, but I mean, like, I've gotten used to it. So, I mean, like, I can talk way more so, I feel like, with people in general. And I don't like, you might not notice it from my stream, but like if people met me more in real life beforehand than versus now, I'm still a bit awkward, and I don't prefer to talk to people, but I'm way more so like capable of it if I want to, kind of thing. You want Asa to get another sword? I agree. I don't know why he doesn't have 5 swords, and I feel like now we're not going to get that. Yeah, I used to sell phones. Yeah, so you understand. It's like when you... But I was doing it door to door, so it's like I have to go to their house. So it's just weird when you try and talk to strangers and try and sell them shit. Like, it's a little different when you're in a store because they show up at your store. But it's like you got to convince people of like how you're benefiting them, and like you got to talk to all these strangers who are grumpy at you all the time. So it's like it's something that I kind of like. I've always been somebody who's good at adapting to my environment. So, like I said, I've gained skills out of it, and like it's not like it's been a waste of time. It's just been like it hasn't been nearly as well as I thought. And like I said, I gained a lot of general skills, so it's not like I'm gonna complain. But I'm just trying to switch to something else now that's more consistent, so I can, like I said, get this back on track. Try and like I want to move to a different place within the next year, and there's like stuff that I just have planned. So I'm trying to get everything back in order. And that's one of the reasons I really wanted to get the channel too. Is like my channel has been like I've been doing this. What I want to say, 5 years, 4 or 5 years. I know like the last year I've been on and off. That's why I'm trying to get things consistent again. And I feel like this structure is closer to my old structure. Towards like I remember. So this is like some Rax lore. Yeah, door to door. So I actually like door to door. I actually really like it. It's just like it's not consistent enough for me, you know. I already read. I commented on the whole Sun Village over the Water Village. I commented on that. I did a whole little speech on it. But crap, what was I saying? But yeah, so I've been doing this for a while, and like I remember. So for instance, this is just a little Rax lore story. So after I got out of the military, I had a job. Like so, there was like, so I got a job that got pushed back because of snow. So like there was a couple week period to where I was unemployed, and I would pretty much wake up. I would play some games. I would do like between 1 to 3 videos, and I would upload them over the next few days. And then I had that job for a few months. They let go everybody on that job title. So, like, I literally got hired just to do some of the closeout stuff, and then I had to go find another job. So, like, I was had, like, a month and a half without work, like 2 months without work, something like that. And I remember, like, I would just do, like I said, I would wake up, I would do my things, I would freaking make videos, and I'd upload them. And it's like, it was easy because I was more in the zone. I was consistent with it, and I didn't try and like do anything crazy extra. I would just kind of talk about what I wanted to talk about. And so that's why I wanted to work back towards this. Like I really want to make it more of like a consistent structure, because I actually like talking about, you know, the general shit going on. And it's something that I can do casually. Like I said, I don't have to worry about, YouTube isn't my main thing. Like, I never tried to make my YouTube channel my main thing. I never tried to be like, yeah, I'm going to be a YouTuber as my career. I don't know if I'd be able to. But I know that one thing I'm good at, one is talking, and two, just kind of, I was going to say, like, widespread, like, manga, but it's, I mostly talk about Fairy Tail. I talk about some other stuff, but, that's just my main. So, if I can be entertaining enough for people, I feel like it's a good thing just to have, like, to be consistent with. Like, you have a hobby that you make sure you keep to. Because I feel like something like that ends up boosting you overall in how you just generally participate in things. Because, like, I noticed when I slowed down on YouTube and I wasn't playing like a lot of games, I feel like I was like all work, no play, and it like messed with my head a bit. You know what I mean? Yeah, I give like bits of Rax lore. I don't go too deep into everything. Dude, I was in the military for 5 years. What are you talking about? I actually started my channel near the tail end, like the last year and change of being in the military. Like, I remember doing videos when I was still in my barracks room, and like trying to, like, at times where I had an annoying roommate to be like, I hope they don't like bother me and try and figure out what my channel is. On Yakuto's Troll Goal, I mean, right now, I mean, it's hard to say because I don't know if it's like going to be cut off or it's going to be connected. I really like the idea that he's actually Acnologia, but it's like the two halves. God is the body of Acnologia, and this is the spirit. I think that would be really cool. And he's got to reunite, and then they go back to they join 100 Years Quest. Sukuna is original body given to him by Coach Kenjaku, so he's above full power thanks to Mumi. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't too sure on it. And I didn't want to go look through the chapters again. I got a question on 100 Years Quest. Chapter 100, when Natsu is fighting Suzaku and putting the dragon scales in different parts of his body as defense, he's quickly going in and out of Dragon Force. Yeah, so the way he was using it is he had Fire Dragon King mode primarily, but he would use Dragon Force in like flash succession, so it would make the scales to where it would block a lot of the damage. It would increase his durability dramatically from where Suzaku's attack landed. But also, while he's in Dragon Force, his reaction timing is dramatically increased, so he can see and react to Suzaku's attacks. And at that point, he just goes and uses his Fire Dragon King mode to attack. Like, Natsu was just using it more defensively, which was very smart. Like, he had a whole just general plan that wouldn't waste his magic. Because Dragon Force, obviously, is an all-in type move. It's different for the types, but generally, you know, as we've seen with Natsu, it's a huge burn on his magic. So, like, though he gets a large increase, it's going to just be something that, like, has to work or he's going to be done. So, like, with now him doing it in, like, just flashes means that he's going to be able to preserve his magic way more so. She will legit segregating Yakuto out of the heroes because he's the only dark-skinned MC. That's one of the reasons I feel like he's going to be, he could be different and, like, related to Acnologia is just because of that, like, skin color. Because if you combined Yakuto and, you know, the Dead Rock God, they kind of do make up into Acnologia. Why is Natsu only using Lightning Flame Dragon when it's Athena 2 and Duke instead of King mode? No, so the way that Natsu goes about things is he will try and match his opponents. That's if you look at when he fought Gajiel, then generally it depends on if he's pushed or if he thinks it's like, okay, fine, if you're doing that, I'll do it too. Gajiel using Iron Shadow Dragon mode during their fight, Natsu went right into it. Athena 2 is using 2 attributes, so Natsu's using 2 attributes. I bet if Athena gets more or gets stronger, Natsu's going to go into Fire Dragon King mode. That's just going to be like, he's going to be like, okay, and he's going to roll into it. Because Natsu gauges his opponents a lot during fights. He pays attention to them a lot more, and he doesn't just jump in and burn through everything because he knows that if he does that, he's going to be screwed. Like, if you're going to do something like that, it has to be at an opportune moment to where it really matters for it. But anyway, guys, we're going to probably call it here. Been about an hour and a half. That's going to be the general time for a lot of the streams. The next one was today, Thursday. The next one should be on Saturday. I think a versus stream would actually be really fun. So Athena plus Rogue plus Wendy plus Duke, just lightning mode. Well, no, he's fighting somebody with 2 attributes. So he's using 2 attributes. So what we'll do, for anybody that wants to participate, let me post it one more time in here. Obviously, we got only a handful of people here. Maybe there's some people that join later. But we're going to be planning a versus day. And I think this actually would be pretty fun. Because what we're going to do is, like I said, we'll have like a couple people. We'll have, you know, maybe like 4 or 5 people. I know not everybody's going to be interested. I'll try and invite Quan. I'll see. Quan is usually it depends on what time I start the stream. As long as they start earlier, Quan will join. But the plan is going to be everybody gets like a couple matches they want to talk about, like 2 to 3 matches, and we circle through them. And maybe we'll take some from like the spin wheel, put a bunch of characters on the spin wheel. We'll have like in between, we'll have like some randomized matches, but it'll be mostly set on what exactly people bring to the stream. I think that'll be pretty fun. So until then, we'll call it good for now. We just had a nice little stream chat. Like I said, the goal right now is less like I'm trying to. Like I said, I'm not going to stream just for chat money, but the goal is for consistency, so that like if I get it, I feel like, okay, cool, I've earned it. Not just like I stream when after gaps, so people will be like, yeah, welcome back. Let me throw you some couple super chats or anything. I want it to be like, hey, you've been putting out content. I've been enjoying your content. Here you go. I appreciate it. That's the goal. Like, because if I don't have anything as a product to you guys, I want it to be to where I'm being like as much of an entertainment service as possible. So where it's more of like, if you guys feel like the urge being like trying to help me, like, you know, if I'm like, hey guys, you know, I'm doing this week, you know, anything helps, and you guys want to do stuff like that, I think that would be cool. So it's like maybe if I have a stretch goal every time, maybe that'll be like the 250 stretch. Well, I have to think of something for like another stretch goal. That'll maybe be for the after one, because we're no, it doesn't matter even if it's just like a few dollars a stream. The next stream we're gonna be moving towards the next thing, and we're gonna be talking about, you know, obviously our goals and what's gonna be going on. Be good to Tartaros. I'm always nice to Tartaros. He freaking bites my legs all the time. Don't worry, King Range. I know you showed up late, but like I said, I'm going to keep consistent with the streams. And the plan is that throughout the week, they're going to be at different times. So if this one might not be more for you, and the next one might be a little earlier, or maybe like the Monday stream will be earlier. It just depends. I plan on doing at least one early morning stream and one later night stream throughout the week. And then the other ones will just kind of vary depending on, except for like when a chapter comes out, it'll generally be like shortly beforehand. We do read the chapter, talk about it, and then there's like a post discussion. No, I do not kick Tartaros away from the keyboard. My other cats are on the keyboard. Tartaros doesn't really mess with my keyboard too much. He will come in and then bite my legs and then like wander around and then like look at me as if like, hey, what's going on? But what was I saying? Yeah, so like there'll be different streams at different points in times as it goes. That way other people can join in. You know, like I said, if this one was a little too late or you were busy, maybe the next one will be a little bit more of what time fits for you. The next one, Saturday, will probably be a little bit later. Like it'll probably start a little bit more in the evening, but the goal is going to be to have, I want to have at least 4 guests is the hope. You know, what we talk about, somewhere between 12 to 15 versus matches. Because I assume some of them are going to be easy to go over. Like, if somebody's like, who's going to win between Gray and the ice guy from the Black Clover movie? I'd be like, okay, this is a 2-minute conversation. White Lobster had more potential than the Build King. That White Lobster, I miss him. But I do really miss Build King. But anyway, I'll talk